How's it going, YouTube? Raj here. I hope you guys are doing well. Tonight I am back again with another video in the luxury fragrance series. This is where I talk about luxury fragrances, and when it comes to luxury, the Italian niche house of Xerjoff do it really well. This fragrance is 1861. I've been wanting to review this fragrance for a long time, past few months now, because I had this in a 10 ml decant, which you might have seen me feature on my channel once or twice. And when I first bought that, I wasn't entirely convinced. I wasn't 100% sure that this was full bottle worthy. As you can see, things have changed. So let's get into the sizes and package, bottle and all that, presentation and all that stuff. 100 ml bottle, it comes in one size only, will cost you 235 American dollars, which I think is a little bit on the pricier side compared to what I paid for it. On the Xerjoff e-boutique, their online website, it cost you 180 euros. I bought this from Fortnum & Mason in London for 138 pounds, so I think I got kind of like the best deal, really. It's all about exchange rates, to be honest. So the notes, actually no, let's go into the presentation. I almost forgot that, it's sitting right next to me. I got the box, so beautiful box. Quite, nothing's elaborate as maybe the amouage you might have seen in my last video, but just nice design. At the top here, you've got XJ. I do like that symbol. And on three sides of the box in different colors, you've got this XJ 1861. It says a scented Italian Renaissance. You've got that in green also, and you've got that in red. And then again on the back, not again, but on the back in red, you've got some Italian here, and in English it says XJ 1861. As one shall be our native land, there shall only be one Italian art. So it's a quote, but I couldn't find out who it actually said that. So I'm going to guess it was a quote from maybe Sergio Momo, the founder of Xerjoff. If you know who it actually was, let me know. And underneath the box, you've got a nice red thing here. It says XJ, and the bottle just simply sits inside. The bottle is really the centerpiece in terms of presentation. It's very weighty. It's like a paperweight. I mean, literally, if you could use it as a paperweight if you wanted to. Beautiful XJ on the front there with 1861, and Xerjoff going along the top there. A nice kind of pattern at the back. Kind of reminds me of, I don't know, maybe like a pattern on some sort of some regal Italian cathedral, or like a palace or something like that. And of course you've got this beautiful, weighty, again, cap. Solid, well, I don't know, like gold plated anyway. Very solid. Love the design. You see this in pretty much all the Xerjoff fragrances. I think the Suspiro line is a slight variation on that. Beautiful presentation, it's what you expect. It really is what you should expect anyway from niche level fragrances. Notes for this fragrance in the top notes there is bergamot, Mandarin, lime, and petitgrain. Petitgrain is the oil that is extracted from the twigs and leaves of the bitter orange tree. In the mid there is rose, lily of the valley, and mint. And in the heart of this fragrance, cedar, patchouli, amber, and musk. So what do I get out of this fragrance? What do I get out of Xerjoff's 1861? I have to say, this is the best fresh fragrance, call it fresh fragrance, I've ever tried. I've been into fragrances for a number of years now, and really into it over the last 2 years, and I haven't smelled anything better than this. Citrus fragrances, aquatic fragrances, kind of green, none of them in terms of their sort of freshness, if you can use that word, match this. This is on its own level. In the opening, I'm going to describe this as a cocktail. So imagine you've got a martini glass, and you take the juiciest, ripest citrus fruits, your lemons and mandarins and bergamot. I don't get too much lime, if I'm honest, but take those other three I just mentioned. You roll them up in your hand, you squeeze them in your hands so you kind of release the juices inside, and then you cut them open and just squeeze them, drain all of them into this martini glass. And you know, citrus is a kind of a note which is, I would say, actually difficult to describe because it's very easy in a fragrance to say, oh, it's got a citrus opening, it's got bergamot in the opening, because a lot of fragrances have that. But this is so authentic, you know. I think citrus notes are actually regulated or banned or something, but whatever they're using, it smells exactly like the real thing. You're like sitting under a tree, drinking this fruitiest, freshest, ice cold glass of this citrus cocktail. Around the edge of this martini glass, you've got sugar, which is starting to mix in with this citrus oils and starting to dissolve slightly. And that's kind of the opening of this. Later on, you add some mint leaves into this cocktail, and the mint is kind of there in the opening, but it becomes a little bit more pronounced after a while. And the mint is it is like almost a literal interpretation. Some people don't like that. They say it's literally like getting a mint and rubbing it on your face, and that's a little bit too much to handle. But for me, I actually really like that. I love that about it. I like mint fragrances, but I like them when they're in a cocktail, you know, mixed in with other notes, and it's really sharp and it's sugary and sweet, which I think is contributed from the lemon and the mint. And then the fragrance starts to heat up. It starts to turn, I'm going to continue with this drink metaphor, it turns into a very sweet mint tea, which I love actually to drink without the sugar, but the smell of with the sugar is actually really, really good. And that's what you get with Xerjoff. This mint note just goes on. It's like a genetically modified mint. It just goes on and on and on. And that's what I love about it. You know, that's why I say this is the best fresh fragrance I've ever come across. It's quite linear in that aspect. You know, this is a fairly linear fragrance. There is some development, which I'll touch on later, but it doesn't vary or kind of move away from this path too much. The mint note goes on for hours and lasts a long time, you know, several hours until you come into the base, where the fragrance has what I love in any high-end fragrance, but especially in Xerjoff. Not all of them have it, but this one does. What I call that Xerjoff depth. You know, where a note just continues developing. It doesn't just fizzle away, and the fragrance doesn't just disintegrate. It's got this kind of earthiness coming into it, like this lush greenness, like you're just surrounded by trees and wet leaves, grassy as well, a little bit grassy, not too much. And you've also got this very kind of dry but sweetness from the cedar. Sorry, no, the dryness is from the sweet cedar, but the sweetness is accompanying this dry cedar note. Kind of maybe from the mint and the lemon. Probably that's where the sweetness is coming from. And it's almost as if this cedar has been infused or soaked in some sort of mint oil. And you get a cedar, a little bit of wood, and just put that in your cocktail. And you're sipping that in a garden. That is the scent of Xerjoff's 1861. Amazing! I'm so glad I bought this. And I wore this for the first time in a colder weather, you know, and that's why I wasn't convinced. Because the best way to get great performance out of this one, and the time to wear this fragrance, is when it is warm. Not hot, but warm. Talking springtime, really, when the sun is out, but nothing too, there's a crispness to the air. And that's when you throw on 1861. If you wear this in the heat, in my experience, it kind of fizzles away and it becomes, it kind of dies down a little bit, if I'm honest. I think the heat kind of kills it slightly. But projection in the first few hours, the way it kind of comes off your skin, really like quite a lot to me, to be honest. Quite surprising. The sharpness from the citrus and the mint is really helping the projection. And I've smelled this on other people, one other person to be precise. And you know, I was sitting across him from the table. I could smell it like really potently. Surprising. Longevity, again, as I said, when it's warm, not when it's hot. When it's warm, 6 hours, no problem. Couple of hours on top of that where you're into the base of this fragrance and it becomes more of a closer to the skin scent. You can wear this in when it's very, very hot, but don't expect great performance. 4 to 6 hours max. Rating, 9.5 out of 10. This is citrus, fresh notes done to perfection, but you know, I'm not going to give it a 10 out of 10 because there are other fragrances I feel are more worthy of that score. Xerjoff, 1861. The second bottle I have from Xerjoff, it's not going to be the last. I know that for a fact. This is a great house. There are a couple of in there which are just kind of okay, to be honest, but there are so many. I'm having fun exploring the house. Let me know what you think, guys. Do you think this mint note is too literal? Do you not like it? Do you think it's overpriced? Do you think this is one of the best in the game? What do you think about the House of Xerjoff? Overpriced? One of the best? It's always great interacting with you guys and exchanging views and yeah. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye.